Development is the process of taking raw land in most cases and creating something new out of it. It tends to happen in areas that have been planned for growth, and most communities plan for growth in the outskirts of town. Sometimes in a major city there'll be a business district or that type of thing, but a lot of times there'll be business parks, there'll be areas that the city has said that's where we want the growth to occur. But 100 years ago, the growth occurred in the downtown. There was an organic growth because it was around where people lived and worked, and that's where it was centered. As a redeveloper, what we do is we take those spaces and make them into new productive uses. It's the same end goal, but we're not doing it on the outskirts of town. And I think as a result, the impact of the community is far lessened. When you build buildings on the periphery of town that are not connected to sewer lines, may require extra traffic work, you start to change the gravitational pull of how people interact with their city, how they drive, how they walk, how their lives work. It can shift the metrics of a town. But a redeveloper is just taking what's already there and all of the money and energy and resources that have already gone into that particular structure and reusing it. It's a really challenging business, but it's one that in the end I think is much more rewarding than plunking a steel building on the edge of a town. If you think about a hospital that has been built using untold amounts of concrete and steel, all brought to the site, amazing amounts of energy expended, both in terms of fuel, human energy, to bring all of that to that one place. And then they construct a building that has some components that you can always reuse, no matter what the end use is. You've got a roof, you have parking, all these things that disturb the natural area are in place already. So all we do is we build upon that to reuse what is already in place. I think as a result, the impact both on the community and the environment is significantly lower than going into a virgin territory and cutting down trees, that type of thing. The economics, not that anyone wants to necessarily hear about this, but really the heart of what you're talking about is when the most often asked question I get is, why would you possibly buy an old hospital? It looks like a white elephant. Isn't that a disaster? I mean, how are you going to reuse that? But I don't see an old hospital or an old electronics manufacturing plant or an old shoe factory. What I see is a site with parking, runoff, traffic inflow, maybe a roof, 4 walls. All these things are in place already. They've already been put there. And so I see opportunity.